Hey guys, welcome back. So this is gonna be my first more or less in-depth guide video that I'm gonna be trying to cook up for Chaos Zero Nightmare. Now I've been playing this game for pretty much every single day for the past slightly more than a month ever since the game has been released. I'm enjoying this very thoroughly, and today I kind of want to just get through to you guys how exactly do you want to clear through the Chaos progression with regards to farming your save data, especially with a couple of tips and tricks I managed to learn from the CN server. So without further ado, let's just get into today's content. Alright, so the very first thing I kind of want you guys to understand is that yes, you definitely do want to try to farm in these chaos event stages instead of the usual chaos zero that you'll be doing out of here, because for most of the farming systems that you're going to get from the zero system, you are actually unable to bring them into the final boss fight you're going to be seeing over here, where you're going to be taking it into your Nebula Distortion against your first 3 bosses. Every single one of these, you have to use your save data that you're going to be obtaining from these brand new event save data, right? So anything else that you farm outside of these is not going to be usable, and on top of that, the amount of save data you're going to be getting and the quality of this you're going to be getting from this with the additional new cards, the forbidden cards, honestly, it is a very nice way to just continuously farming, especially after the devs basically gave a massive update in quality of life to the farming stages for this chaos dungeon. So absolutely yes, you are going to be farming this. Now if you are going to be wanting to farm this but you are basically missing the capabilities of farming this a very smooth run, especially for like the, not just say maybe like difficulty X or like IX, which is going to be like 10 11, very hard, not really going to be recommended. I would say that farming anywhere between your level 7 and 8 is going to be more than sufficient, because your save data value is going to be based on this over here, not the actual difficulty. And if you're still going to be facing any difficulties from your level 7, level 8, then kindly go over to this place over here, because we are able to essentially make use of the additional tree. And by now, if you haven't played this game long enough, you're probably going to be able to max every single one of these things out, which gives you a massive amount of quality of life upgrades, buffs for attack, defense, and health. And it's particularly for all of these flat notes where you're going to be seeing the attack, defense, and health. These are actually extremely important, because if you have been playing gacha games for long enough, all of these stats, they are actually considered as base stat upgrades. So if you take a look into, for example, like my Veronica over here, your potential for these over here, they are going to be based off of your total attack. And if you are going to be getting the additional higher attack from the chaos tree, you actually make it a lot easier for you to actually unlock all of these potentials to get the maximum value of all these units. Not to mention having a base stat upgrade for attack, HP, and defense. It is just going to be a lot more impactful compared to, let's just say, your attack increase for just not going to be your base amount. So if you have been playing games like HSR, Water Waves, Genshin Impact, any of these kind of like base stat increases are always going to be extremely important. So if you're still finding difficulties farming your chaos domains, then kindly just go ahead, play a couple of zero systems, maybe just doing the event by itself, just to get yourself the additional tokens from the chaos chart, so that you can actually go ahead and unlock the tree, at least ideally getting as close to max as possible. And if not close to max, then at least get the attack, defense, and health traces, because it does make your life a lot easier, right? By the way, I was just found out today, defense actually is the one that scales with your heals, because I didn't even know that based on your healing, for example, if you can take a look at your Mika over here, all of your heal cards, they are actually scaling all of your defense. And you know, that's something new today. So yeah, just get all these flat stats upgraded, especially when you're going to be playing this game long. So that's the very first thing. And then for the second thing, take a look over here is, if you are going to be trying out, should you be clearing the difficulty for Nebula Distortion, which is namely going to be this crap over here. Frankly speaking, you don't have to. So even till now, the clear rewards for getting all 9 of the different upgrades for difficulty 4, it is basically going to be seen over here from the annihilation reward. You are going to be getting a couple of these event tokens, as well as these shards that are going to be used to upgrade your memory fragments, which is going to be your relics in this game, right? So generally speaking, from your difficulty 4 from 7, 8, and 9, it is honestly not that crazy of an upgrade to the point where you want to grind, sweat, and get the perfect save data, get your maximum memory fragments, get all your potentials. Because if you just want to get the best possible clear reward, you can just go into this achievement goal over here, scroll all the way down, and you can see that as long as you clear any difficulty with 9 distortion stacks within 15 turns, you are basically going to be able to get this, which will give you this technical 1 mythic item pool for your prism lens over here. Right? Other than that, I would say it is, if you want to try, it's basically just for a challenge. But if you're not able to clear the full difficulty 4 with all the 9 different modifiers, you don't have to worry about it. Going for the difficulty 2, difficulty 1, maybe you want to try difficulty 3, you can just go ahead and have fun for yourself. So those are pretty much going to be a couple of the tips and pointers before you actually get into the event itself. So now I'm going to be talking about pretty much the entire cost structure of this entire content, and that is going to be how save data is going to be obtained, especially if you're going to be playing through this chaos and farming for the best possible save data value. If you haven't played games like Uma Musume, you would know that, you know, basically this is your career run. getting a good save data for all of your different units is going to be helping you a lot in the long run, because for all the endgame content, it is purely going to be based on your save data. So ideally, so for example, if you're able to get a save data something like this, getting with all of your basic cards, getting your card draw, getting your upgrades, all that kind of stuff, fitting the right exact amount of save data points is going to make your life outside of your Chaos Zero so much easier, especially when it comes to a simulation. We're going to be farming for all of your daily materials, or even for the end content like your base in hyperspace, which to this day I haven't even do it because we do have quite a lot of time remaining, right? So let's just jump into the save data portion. You can kind of just take a look from quite a couple of other content creators that basically talk about exactly how save data is going to be working here. So for every single one of these save data you're going to be seeing from your Chaos domain, right, they all come along with the different save data value tier. So 12, 13, 12, all that kind of stuff. And yes, you can actually re-roll them by costing over here, right? 10 of these are event shards. So the moment you reroll it, you're not happy with, let's just say you want to get a higher than 12, you can reroll. All right, don't worry about it. And then there's going to be 10, right? Which is going to be a lot easier, but your save data value is not going to be as high, so you can reroll again. All right, and then you get it with 13, which I would say is honestly pretty good, but you can't really rest here. So unless you're absolutely confident you can actually get this clear off at level 80, this is going to be a little bit scary, right? But in any case, let's just talk about exactly how you're going to be able to make use of this for this current brand new event to get the best farming efficiency of your entire life, right? So I'm going to try to just speed up a little bit. So for save data tier is basically tier times 10 plus 20. So for this over here, if your save data tier is going to be 13, you are basically going to be getting 150 save data at a absolute cap limit, right? You cannot get anything higher than 150 points if you're going to be going for a save data 13. 11, it is going to be 11 times 10 plus 20, which is going to be 130. So now that you actually understand this, a very good rule of thumb is you actually do not need to keep going for save data tier level 13 unless you're trying to go for an absolutely insane god deck with like perfect divine epiphanies, perfect copies, perfect neutral cards and everything. Because generally speaking, if you are just going to be clearing for all of these kind of endgame contents, even at save data value 11, which is going to be 130 save data value points, it is going to be more than sufficient. So if you're still struggling with tiers at tier 12, 13, or even 14, unless you really want a god deck, I would say it is not going to be worth the effort nor the headache to go ahead and farm this, especially if you're going to be a casual player. Because if you're going to be farming for the run and you fail the run, or even if you go for the run itself and the run does not give you a good amount of save data value because you don't get the right epiphanies, you don't get the right copies, then the whole run is going to be wasted anyways, right? So time is going to be essentially the only limiting factor in Chaos Zero Nightmare. If you want to get a good run, all you need is time. Because farming for Chaos data, it literally does not take you any stamina, because this thing essentially takes 0 9, right? You literally do not take anything at all. You only need to get the event currency, and even after clearing out the event itself, you actually get back your event currency from simply doing a full clear right over here, right? So you can literally just farm this 24/7 non-stop. You do not need to worry about it. So going for the fastest, most efficient point of using your time is going to be my recommendation if you're going to be going for save data value, right? And then this is going to be the save data value rules, which they already officially announced it for their official server with the guides and everything, and I just basically compiled them into this table over here. You can kind of just see for yourself. So this is going to be a table. If you delete unit card as well as a copy, it's going to be every single one of these you can consider as a points. And then we have equipment, normal epiphany, divine epiphany, convert, forbidden card, neutral card epiphany, as well as monster card. So every one of these you can feel free to take a screenshot, and the ones that are highlighted in green is the one that generally speaking you're probably going to be getting there to almost every single one of your runs. So you do want to be a little bit more wary with the save data value you are going to be getting. And if you want to make your life a little bit easier, you can feel free to take a look in this card calculator over here, which I would say actually makes your life super nice if you're going to be just going for the run. So for example, if you're going to be going for, let's just say you want to try to farm for like a Yugi, right? So if you got a neutral card, you just +1. If you got yourself like a neutral epiphany, you +1. If you got divine epiphany, +1. Forbidden card, +1. And then converted card, let's just say +1. A dupe, let's just say you got like 2 dupes. And then if you like remove, let's just say like let's just say you remove like a 2 basic or 1 basic card and 1 other card, then this is gonna be 120, right? So this is your save data at 120. So you're gonna be going for the tiers. So for example, you're gonna be going for tier 10, then that's gonna be on a bare limit at 120, which I would say is still okay. But the moment you go ending beyond this, then that's when RNG starts to take place, right? Which is why you see with a lot of save data values where you get your basic cards, you didn't get your divine epiphany, it's because you went beyond the save data limit, which means that the system actually does not allow you to go ending beyond. Then everything after that, unless for some cards that take presence, for example, the forbidden cards will always take the first priority, then it's just going to be completely RNG. So ideally, you always want to keep yourself within this range every single time so that you're pretty much guaranteed to get whatever you want outside of Chaos Domain every single time I'm going to be farming. So this is extremely important. So if you want to leave, I'm going to be leaving this website down in the comment section below to kind of just make your life a little bit easier. But just generally speaking, you can just stick to the table that's shown over here if you don't want to bore yourself that much. Just have a little bit of a mental note to see how many points you're going to be getting for the run itself. Now, one very, very important thing to know over here, which is going to be getting from the CN side as well, is this particular event. It is completely RNG. It is basically called the Mutant event. So for the Mutant event, you are always going to be taking the first option, because once you roll the dice, you can convert a selected card into a mutant sample. This is absolutely insane for your card save data value, because you basically get yourself a grand total of 0 points to not only just remove one of the basic cards, it also converts to a card that will later be removed at the end of the run. So you're essentially saving like 30 or maybe even 50 points worth of save data value simply from this one event. So if you ever encounter this event in your runs, it is going to be absolutely insane. So please save this and basically just use this for all of your main DPS or whatever run that you're going to be trying to running. So if you do encounter this, definitely go for the very first option. But generally speaking, I would say you only care about managing mostly your delete unit cards as well as your divine epiphanies. Other than that, you can add a couple of, I would say, 1 or 2 neutral cards here and there. Once again, the rarity actually does not matter. So whatever is going to be legendary, blue, whatever it's going to be, it is all going to be the same at 20 points over there, right? So for example, if you're going to be able to get a gear back, or if you're going to be getting like an overwhelm, all that kind of stuff, all of them are going to be the exact same rarity. So always distribute amongst your all 3 different units and try to tally around to within the save data value to make sure you get exactly what you want. Now, I would say there is going to be a special interaction, which is going to be the forbidden cards we can see from the brand new system. They always take priority over everything else. So this will always be the first entry in your save data, and everything else will come outwards. So for example, if you exceed your save data by 150 points, so if you're going to be heading 150 instead of 130, so if your save data limit is going to be 130, but you hit 150, then the file will first prioritize this 20 points for your forbidden cards, and then it will randomly delete one of the things you got. It could be a divine epiphany, it could be a common card delete, it could be whatever it's going to be, but the forbidden card will always be guaranteed in your deck, right? So try to just keep this in mind if you're going to be going for defarming. So now I'm going to just show you guys a little bit of an example over here, just to see how do you calculate exactly what each individual card, each individual save that is going to be for every single unit. So this is going to be from the CN example over here. I'm also going to be putting a couple of my own example to relay you guys for a reference as well. This is going to be for a Yuki run. You basically deleted 2 basic unit cards. So you can look first to the table. 2 basic unit from their own unit is going to be 20 plus 30, which is going to be 50 points. Then you convert 1 basic card from the Mutant event, which is going to be a grand total of 0 points. So it's super nice. You copy 1 card for 0 points, 3 Divine Epiphany for 60 points, and 1 Forbidden card for 20 points for a grand total of 130 points for this very nice Yuki deck. 0 basic cards, all in for just a card rotation cycle, right? So that's gonna be one example for Yuki. Then this is going to be another example, which is basically something that I did for myself. I basically went for the delete 2 basic card just like the first Yugi example, so 20 plus 30 is going to be 50. I also converted one of my basic card via the Mutant event, so that's going to be 0. I copied 1 card for 0 points, 1 Divine Epiphany for 20, 1 neutral card for 20, and 1 neutral Epiphany for 10 for a grand total of 100 points, as you can see from this table over here. So perfectly aligning with every single one we found. And one more example from my own personal Yugi, you can see we have a lot of different cards. I actually went for 3 different overwhelms, so we can see how the calculation is going to be. I deleted 2 basic unit cards, so once again, it's 20 plus 30 which is 50. Copy 2 cards, which is going to be for Iceberg Cleave as well as the Retain for 10 points. So 3 neutral cards for Overwhelm, which always going to be the exact same points. So that means 60 plus 60 plus 60. And then we have 1 neutral Epiphany for 1 Overwhelm, which is going to be the vulnerability for a grand total of 60 plus 10 plus 10 plus 50 for a grand total of 130 save data value, exactly fitting into our save data point over here, right? So that's basically exactly how do you calculate save data for this entry. So hope this is going to be a super important aspect, because if you're going to be playing Chaos Zero Nightmare, if you go beyond the save data value, the number of actual TB you're getting from save data, it actually does not matter, right? You really want to make sure that the faint memory is the one that you're going to be aiming for at the highest absolute efficiency, and anything beyond, it will kind of ruin your deck, because you will either lose the Divine Epiphany or you're going to be getting your common cards, which will just drag down the overall quality of your entire deck itself, especially if it's going to become an RNG fiesta where the game system choose which one it actually keeps and which one actually just going to be discarded, right? So do not care about the TB, only care about the save data value, and try to go ahead with like a typical deck building process. So for example, if you're going to be building Veronica with a lot of card cyclers, you want to delete the basic cards, get a couple of overwhelms, copy a couple of the repose, get a couple of draw tools, so that's going to be there. And then for a main DPS like Yuki, delete all of the overwhelms, maybe get a couple of Divine Epiphanies, so all of the upgrades. So that's something that you want to do for pretty much all of your Chaos Zero Nightmare for your Chaos runs itself. And now I'm just going to be coming down to pretty much one of my last segment, which is how exactly do you want to farm this now that you actually understand how save data value works. So this is pretty much the best and most efficient way to farm save data, especially for the current Forbidden Catalyst event. So keep in mind, like I mentioned, for all 3 Nebula Distortions, you can only use the save data you're getting from this chaos from Galactic Disaster. You cannot use your normal 0 runs, so you only farm here itself. So there's pretty much no reason to not do them over here over the normal Chaos Zone 0, right? And also, the data that I mentioned, they're honestly very, very nice. On top of not just the cards, the actual upgrades, you also get a lot of very nice equipment and forbidden cards, especially after the patch update. So especially if you're going to be playing units like Yuki, with the draw 2 cards and getting all the equipment, it's going to be making her quality a lot better, especially if you want to even compare it to all the other runs we'll be getting for the normal Chaos 0 farming, right? So that is pretty much it. So generally speaking, in terms of farming, I would always try to stick to either 7 or 8, and then just try a couple of rerolls to see if we can get ourselves the tier data. I personally would go for around 12 or 13 because I know my account and my understanding of the game and I'm to clear it. But if you can't really clear the difficulty because they have a lot of debuffs, then you can just lower the difficulty down a little bit. Like I mentioned, 10 or 11 is still going to be completely fine to clear all of your daily contents, especially for your farming, couple of runs here and there. So that is pretty much going to be there, right? Between level 7 and 8, you can just kind of choose for yourself. So I would say I would not run a trauma run, because if you do a trauma run, so you can see over here, if you're going to be doing a trauma run, it's actually going to be a save data value number 14, because it's going to be adding +1 to the save data, which I personally think is not going to be that worth it, especially if it makes my run even more difficult than it needs to be. And like I mentioned, time as well as comfort for running this is going to be my number 1 priority, because what's the point of trying to get the best perfect run when I'm just going to die halfway, right? So just to make my life a little bit easier, I would personally avoid the trauma run itself. And this also means you can theoretically farm an infinite number of times until the desired save data can be obtained, because the event currency is pretty much infinite at this point as well. So even after you earn beyond the 8,000 of 8,000 event currency, you can still gain more event currency as long as you clear either the first boss or the second boss all the way towards the end itself, right? So I would say one of the most important aspect is you can pretty much technically reset your runs after the very first boss before you go into the interior, because you technically consume absolutely nothing aside from time, while also getting 50% of the event currency. And yes, this does, like I mentioned, go beyond the really limit. So for example, at the very first boss, you got 0 good epiphanies, you didn't get a mutant event, you didn't get a forbidden card, you didn't even get a good copy, no good equipment. At that point, I would say just cut your losses, quit the run, and you can kind of just go back in and reroll for another run again to see if this run is going to be better. Because I would say, like I mentioned, Chaos Zero Nightmare as well as the whole farming system in Zero, it is only gonna be restricted by your time, right? It consumes 0 stamina, and it's one of the very few gacha games where, theoretically speaking, if you want to play this forever, you literally could, because it costs you absolutely nothing. You can run this forever just for that one perfect save data, and then you can actually take it out of your combat and bring it to you for all of the end game, right? So that's pretty much gonna be it. I would say I wouldn't really refresh this too much, because at the end of the day, you still want to actually clear out more of your supply stores, get all of these pools, get all of these upgrades for all of your Yukis, and there's gonna be a second and third supply bars as well as the event's gonna be progressing, right? I would say if you want to save a little bit, you could consider sacrificing a couple of these save data values. For example, your partner EXP, I would say it's going to be a little bit excessive. For all the other stuff like your relics, if you want to skip them, maybe you could, but I would say the game gives you more than enough currency to basically clear out the entire shop, so I probably would not worry about it too much. With that, I've come to the end of the best CN save data value guide. Let me know if this video is going to be helpful. I'm going to be posting a little bit more CN content, because even though we've been playing a lot of HSR, currency, all that, I have been enjoying this game a lot, even the off stream, playing this game a lot, trying to learn a lot from this game. So just let me know, guys, what you guys think in the comments below. Word of the day is going to be save. Join Discord. It's currently 4 AM. All the best for gacha pools, all the best for my editor. Use code POKKE for 10% off gamer subs. I'll see you guys next time. Take care.